What it do, fam?
What it do?
We back. It's your boys.
Yes, sir.
The Home Abroad Podcast. If it's your first time tuning in, salute to you.
Welcome.
Hey, we appreciate y'all that have been with us on this journey. We really actually, a lot of people been supporting us on them comments, so we really appreciate y'all.
We really appreciate
feedback.
the support.
So,
man.
hey, keep up the good feedback, and we're going to keep dropping these. We're really enjoying making them, so yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
What you want to talk to them about today?
Today we're talking about colleges, right? Colleges.
Right on, boy.
It's a hot topic.
Colleges.
Controversial.
Is it controversial?
It is.
He says it's controversial. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, college is a pretty universal idea. You should go to college, right?
You think so?
I mean,
coming from a guy who went to college. You think so?
coming from a guy that did go to college, I'm sure you know.
So you already know my answer. Come on,
well, let's talk about college. Let's talk about
right.
Things like I've been to college and things I've picked up, and
Right.
you've also done a little bit of college, so you
Yeah.
can also share some wisdom
Uh-huh.
on things you've learned or
Yeah.
things you've seen
Mhm.
and things you think you wish you knew before you came in, right?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
So maybe tell them where you at with your college journey and where you at with that.
All right. So yeah. So far, I've done 2 years, and right now I'm taking a gap year currently. So I have 2 more years.
That boy don't want to go to school. You heard that? No, that's what I heard. I don't know if y'all heard that. That
Hey,
boy don't
let me
wanna go to
finish.
school.
Let me finish. All right.
Go ahead.
Since you got your okay.
No, yeah,
all right.
let you finish. How about finish college?
Hey, since you got a 4-year degree, hey, you don't have to be coming at me like that. All right.
And
All right,
I'm
we try to get to your
I'm
level.
just
Come
listening
on,
to
man.
what you're saying,
So
man.
all right, so I've done 2 years, and I have 2 more years to get my bachelor's. So I'm in between. So right now I'm taking a gap year, and yeah, that's
tell
what-
us a little more about the whole gap year thing. Why you chose to do that, and why that?
My main thing for me was debt. I didn't want to be in debt. So my first 2 years I went to a community college, which was cheaper than the university, right? So why I did that was because I didn't want to accumulate debt, right? Because if I went to a 4-year or a university, a 4-year university, those first 2 years I would have probably paid almost $24,000. But here in the community college, I'm only paying $12,000.
Okay, for the 2 years.
Yeah, for the 2 years.
So, but for those who don't know, what's a community college? Like, what's the difference between a university, like a
Well,
4-year
community college
Okay.
is where you can get your AA. After you get your AA in the community college, now you can transfer to university,
Right.
do your other 2 years, and get your bachelor's.
Okay.
So right now I have my AA, and I'm looking into transitioning into university, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So my main thing was debt, and also, you know, I want to figure out what I really like, and I don't want to be wasting money in university without knowing actually what I really want to go for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you brought up a really good point about cost, right? So that's also another thing. I also went to college. I did Running Start. It's a program that allows you to take college courses in high school. So those first 2 years that he's talking about that he's already taken, I was able to take that, a majority of that in my high school years.
Which I also did too, yeah.
Yeah, which saved me a lot of money and time. So I actually went to an actual university for I think about 3 years. So I was able to save almost a year off from doing community college. So I'm a very huge proponent of.
Yeah, speaking about that, I don't even think I paid the full 12 because I did those classes, those Running
Right.
Start classes.
Yeah.
So I already had some classes in there, like some credits. So I just had to finish off my credits. Probably only took me a year and a half to get that AA, honestly.
Okay.
I don't think it's a full 2 years.
So why? What do you mean debt? Everybody got to borrow money to go to college. Why are you trying to avoid that? What's the big deal?
Hey, here's the thing, man. I don't like seeing negative numbers. I like positive numbers, man.
You're all about that positivity in your life.
Man. Come
So
on.
you heard it first year. That man wants positivity in his life. That's his justification for
Nah, hey, but this man went to a 4-year college, all 4 years. All 4 years.
It
Yeah,
sounds like
that boy balling. He balling.
but see, I probably got some negativity in my life. You talk about negativity.
No, you're
But
debt
that's
free.
true.
He's
No.
debt free.
He makes a really good point. I think one of the big lessons I learned even going through my college was debt. I talk to people who are in their 40s, and still paying off student debt. And it's actually, there's studies out there that show incurring debt at a young age is one of the biggest hindrances from being successful, right? So if you can avoid debt, and I understand like college is an investment that's going to make you more money. However, there's also smart ways to go about it, right? So you've realized that maybe delaying you graduating college by a year doesn't mean that you won't graduate or it'll hold you back from being successful in life, right?
Right, because even jobs or employees don't really care about where you went
right.
to college.
Yeah, that's also
right?
another thing. Yes, very, very true.
And I think you made me realize that because I was in the situation where I was like, man, I'm not gonna get good jobs. I mean, employers are not gonna look at me because I didn't go to a big college or like a known college. But it really doesn't matter. It's about the credential and the degree, right?
Yeah. So basically, a background for me, I've attended a 4-year college. I did I've earned a bachelor's degree in business with a concentration in finance. And what I did for me in order to be able to kind of stay away from debt was I worked my ass off. I was working almost a full-time job and going to college. And during the summers, I was working over 40 hours a week in order to be able to save up some money to cover college. And it's just necessary. I had classmates that I went with that would never work during college. They would say, oh, I have so much homework. I have this and that. And that's not an excuse to go to college and be in debt for years after graduating, especially if you're not able to if you're not able to cover that through other means like scholarships or your parents supporting you. There's no reason you should not be working and just because you're working. Okay, like for me,
but it's also not easy. It's
not easy.
You have to,
let me just put this straight. Trying to go to college with trying to minimize your debt as much as possible is only going to make your journey that much harder, but it's so much worth it. I can confess, I did it. It was very hard. But did I graduate with a 4.0? No. But it might mean that you don't graduate with a 4.0.
But were you in the dean's list?
Let's not.
If y'all know what a dean's list is, you know what I'm talking about. That boy's smart.
No.
Don't let that boy fool you.
That's
now.
not the focus of
don't
this
fool
conversation.
The people now.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I just got lucky. That's what it is.
Okay.
I just got lucky.
I want to get lucky too, man.
I just got lucky. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is I worked my ass off, and that meant I didn't have a lot of time to do homework. I didn't have a lot of time to do as well as I would have done in some classes, but that's okay. I was okay with that because I knew the end goal. Because what I came to realize when you're applying for a job, whether you had a 3.5 or a 4.0, employers don't care. A lot of the times they're more concerned about, can you perform this job?
Right.
That's what they're really looking for. So your grade suffering a little bit just because you're working is not that big of a deal, right? So I think that's one of the things you can do to save on costs when going to college is work your ass off, and there's no way around it. It's gonna be hard. Yes, it's just a reality you have to face. It was very, very difficult working almost a full-time job and going to school full-time. The other thing you can do is also utilizing scholarships. I know people have heard this thing, but I was also in the same shoes, and I kind of didn't take that opportunity as seriously as I should have.
Yeah.
But the way I learned to look at scholarships is, let's say there's a scholarship out for $10,000, and you're like, man, it's gonna take me maybe 10 hours to even do all the application, write all the essays or the stuff that they're requiring. But if you spend 10 hours on something and you get $10,000 scholarship, that's like you making $1,000 an hour.
But
right?
Which is also very hard because I was there. I was trying to apply for scholarships. Yeah, I mean the requirements they make you do it's a lot.
But honestly, you're probably gonna apply for maybe 10 scholarships, and maybe just one will come back.
Or maybe you're not gonna get any.
Yeah,
because that's the reality of it.
But it's worth a try, and it's once you're older or once you leave college and start having that burden of a debt, you'll be like, I wish I did that, right? That's one thing I really wish I'd put more emphasis on, because there's so much money out there for scholarships, but people never really apply themselves or look at it the right way. So I think we've covered the issue of cost here, right? And then the other thing is career choice, or what degree you major in, right? So there's numerous studies out there. You can do your own research, but it's been shown in the modern day, what the market values is stuff like a lot of the times that's like the stuff that's gonna pay you back when you go to college is a lot of stuff that are included in STEM. And what do we mean by STEM?
Yeah, and that's the thing people don't understand is college is an investment.
Yeah.
As you would invest in a business
Right.
or anything else, you're investing money to make more money in the future, right? People get confused about what really college is about. You're really trying to make more money in the future or setting up your future for the better, and that's the whole thing people don't get. I mean, you could chase your passion all you want, but you gotta choose a career that's gonna pay off in the long run.
Yeah, and I would say college is not a place for you to chase your career, your passion, especially if your passion is has been shown has been shown that a college degree will not pay you what you deserve or you're worth after going to college. So we're talking, and there's numerous studies that have shown that like majoring in stuff like STEM, although it might be hard, it's stuff that's actually going to pay off once you graduate. So you kind of have to take away emotions when it comes to college, and you have to look at it objectively and be like, okay, if I major in this, if I'm an artist and I really love art, if I go and get an art degree, will this actually make me money when I graduate? But what's been shown, if you major into something like in STEM, like science, technology, engineering, with mathematics, those are majors that actually show that the return on investment is worth it. I'm not saying if you're interested in other things, you shouldn't go to college. Yes, if you have a scholarship, do it. If your parents can pay for it, do it.
So in STEM, we're talking about technology, right?
Right. I just mentioned. I think I went over those science, technology, engineering, and math, right? So those are the kind of courses you want to take when you're going to college. You might not be passionate about those subjects, but you can find a way to mold it in a way that maybe you major in something and minor in your passion. But college is not a place that you go pursue your passion, knowing very well that when you graduate, employers are not looking for like a passion, like people with like, let's say like sometimes, like let's say photography is a great career, but do you necessarily need a degree in photography in order to be able to become
really
a photographer? Maybe not. And so let's talk about like other majors like sociology or something. Sometimes you might have to major in something and maybe minor in sociology, and you just have to face the real world facts. And I feel like that's something that people don't want to look at objectively when they're going to college.
Right. Even if you don't want to minor in it, you can still get that degree that's gonna pay you. And be your base, and then start that side hustle, which is photography, whatever. Maybe it's gym,
instructor, yep,
or something. And then once you're able to turn that side hustle into your main hustle, now you're winning. You're happy and you're doing what you
love. Or
love.
even music, stuff like that, art, stuff like that. They're very, very valid in the society, but the market has shown that you don't get as much value as you think you're gonna get from doing. To put things in perspective, like the university I went to, in the University of Washington, for 4 years, just for tuition, it's $48,000, and that's granted you're not living on campus, right? If you're living on campus, that almost doubles to almost $100,000.
Yeah. So
for the 4 years,
yeah.
so for a year it'd be $12,000, right? If you're living on campus, you're probably looking at around $23,000, right?
Yeah, and the example I gave about like I would have been paying like 24. That's the cheap end. That's a public college.
The private colleges are ridiculously expensive, right?
Especially for international students. It's double the money.
International students, you remember how I said $12,000 for a year? You're looking at probably 30 something a year. 36 for an international student. So it's ridiculously expensive. So you have to look at college as an investment, and you kind of have sometimes to take away the emotion or like the emotion that goes with it. You have to be objective about it and be like, okay, do your research. Be like, if I major in this, what are people right after college making in this major? Do I even need a college degree to do this? And college it's not a place for you to just pursue your passion and not think of what the repercussions in the market are gonna be, right? So I think those are the major two things, like cost. Try to minimize your costs as much as possible, and then your major choice, what you major in, is that something that necessarily requires a college degree?
Yeah, choose something that's in demand, and you know you'll get a job right after college, because there's a lot of people who have degrees and are not getting jobs right now.
Right. So there's no reason to be like, yeah, this is what I'm passionate about, but in reality, when you graduate, you can't find a job. What good does that do to you? Right? You might not even need to go to college. Like for me, also another thing maybe people should consider. I went to college and did the finance degree, and I was very fortunate. I landed a job. I was very, very lucky to land a job once I graduated, like soon after I graduated, and I've been working for the state as a bank regulator for the last 2 years. And what I've come to realize, I maybe don't enjoy the 9 to 5 as much as I thought I would. Like me sitting in front of a computer for 9 to 10 hours a day is not me. Like y'all know me. Like I'm a very outgoing person. I love to interact with people, but like the idea of me working a 9 to 5 for 40 years does not sit well with me. And I soon came to realize maybe this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. So also think about that. Is that something you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself doing a 9 to 5 for 40 years? Do you see yourself working for someone else for 40 years of your life? Ask yourself those kind of questions. It's a lesson I've come to learn very hard. I actually had to kind of step away from my job. But we'll talk about that in another conversation.
The other thing is, and we get it, like college is hard. Like I hate going to college. I hate all those classes. Like I literally do. And also in the career path thing, I started off doing computer science, right? You know?
That boy thought he was smart.
I thought I was going to be Elon Musk or something. You know what I'm saying?
Look at this boy. Tell me if he looks like a coder, like he going to be on the computer coding them things.
Stop stereotyping now. You can't be stereotyping people now. Yeah, so I started off like, yeah. My first choice was computer science, but later on, like in between classes, I quickly realized that, computer science is not for me. Especially when I started that science sequence of computer science. But once I realized it's not for me, I switched to business. And that's where I'm at right now. Maybe that's gonna change in the near future. We never know. But.
Yeah, and that goes to his point about his that gap year he's taking. He's taking this time to earn some money, save up some cash, in order that when he's ready to go to college, he can deploy that cash into college and not be in debt. Right? And also at the same time, he's also discovering, doing research and learning, what do I like, what do I not like. It's okay to do that. Delaying your college by maybe a year or two does not mean you're not going to be successful. You might actually be more successful than most people. Yeah. I've seen some people who take a gap year and they take college a lot more seriously once they realize, oh, okay, this is what it looks like working in the real world. This is what I'd really like to do. And they're more passionate about it, and they persevere through it. I saw so many people who would go to college, change their majors multiple times, and maybe drop out at certain points. Right?
And I'm also young too, so I got a lot
There's
of time.
Plenty of time. For you to put in $48,000 to $100,000 into something, that's a lot of money. Maybe you realize if I took this $100,000 that I would have used on college and put it into something I'm passionate about, maybe I'll do just fine. Maybe that's you. So I'm not saying that college is right or wrong. I'm just saying evaluate these things and think critically, because when you tell an 18, 19-year-old to be able to make that kind of decision that will literally shape your whole life, you need time. You need to think critically about that decision and take away some of the emotions that come with college, right? You can say you're pursuing your passion, but have you done your research? Will this pay off when you graduate, right?
And most people don't even realize the repercussion.
All right. That's what gap year nut to you. All right, you're there. That you're a witness.
The repercussions of getting debt that early.
Right.
Because you're going to pay that your whole life.
Man, trust me, you want to stay away from
Especially
debt.
if you're doing like a doctor's degree.
You want to stay away from debt. Yeah, and some people have to go to college. Like if you want to be a doctor, yeah, you got to go to college. There's really not nothing around that. But what you can do is try to apply for scholarships. Work when you're going to school. Is it going to be hard? Yes. It's just the nature of life. And once you like start training yourself to be able to endure that, it'll just make your life much better. And some of these things don't seem like they're important, but once you get a little older, you're like, man, I'm really, like for me, I'm so glad I worked during college. I'm so glad that after like graduating, the moment I got a job, I had very little debt, and I attacked that. Within 6 months, I had been able to pay it off. And I'm so glad I did it. Like a debt has allowed me to do things that I would never be able, like a lot of people would not be able to do.
It feels so good to be debt free.
I guarantee you, you
not
won't
having
regret
to
it.
pay something like
you will
every
not
month.
regret it.
Like debt, not having debt is the best thing.
Yes, trust me. And I know college is like an investment, but you don't want to be in your 40s or your 30s and still paying off debt. It's the worst thing. But
but some people are fortunate enough their parents
absolutely
have good financials and they can pay for their college.
Yeah, and maybe that's an opportunity for you to pursue your passion at that point. If your parents are willing to pay for it,
take full advantage of it.
Take full advantage of that. If you have a full ride scholarship, do it. But you know, if you don't have that luxury, just be more critical about the decision you're making. But I think that kind of summarizes our main points, or like, you know, things we've learned through time that you can avoid or maybe take advantage of at this point. But hey, let us what you know. Let us things you've done or mistakes you've learned, or, you know, positive things from your college experiences. And yeah, absolutely. Interact with us. We really appreciate the love.
Yeah.
And that concludes this one. So
support.
Salute to y'all.
So, man, I was stuttering through the whole thing.
You good, my